Well, good morning. It's a beautiful, I guess it's Thursday morning. Nice and cool again. A good day for me to come out here and do this. And I listen to the rustling of the leaves and the cool breeze. That's one of my best and favorite sounds is to hear that. So here we are out early in the morning, before 6 o'clock even, and just celebrating the gift of the morning. And it's a beautiful day the Lord has made. I was thinking, I was thinking about discussions I've had this week with people and opportunities for worship that are happening and people signing up and questions that have been around it as far as people like how come we aren't getting more people to come to worship, things like that. Uh, Numbers are and again they're going to be what they are, and again we're not mandating that people come if there's a concern with COVID and things, but yet our hope was that we would be gathering more strongly as a body. Uh, I started thinking about habits, you know, and people. Habits are those things that, of course, that we do on a basis, and of course, the number system for the numbers of how habits are formed or broken. Um, I said it takes 7 days to break a habit, and it takes 21 days to build a habit, to create a habit in life. So, uh, for me to get back on my walking schedule like I'd like to and things, it's going to take me 21 days of doing it in a row so that it becomes a habit for me again, that it's just part of what I do. And that's on me. I've got to get on that and get doing that. But it's going to take 21 days for me to do it. And it only took 7 days of resting to not have that habit anymore, in a sense. It's a lot easier to quit a habit than it is to start a new one. Uh, Unless, of course, you're dealing with a bad habit, and that's a completely different story. Uh, but if it's a good habit, it's something you want to do, if it's something you want to be a part of, um, then it takes work to do it. And over the last 3.5 months or more now, 4 months, I don't even keep counting more since we've been stopped from worship in the COVID time, and then as we're starting up again, I've talked constantly and reminded people, our congregation gathers for worship at 9 a.m. And it's important that we know that. I am not saying that just a reminder so you remember what time it is. Uh, One of the things that I wish we understood was that the habit of worshiping is something that we need to keep doing and not fit into all the other pieces that we're doing in life. And this time of not allowing us to gather together in worship, and again all the cultural things that were already starting to impinge upon people coming to worship. Um, this time has made it easier where people, oh yeah, well I'll check out the YouTube video later, or I'll check it out, and then next week it's like, oh, I got two of them to do, and oh, it's too much, and we very quickly fall out of the habit of worshiping. Or some people do it, but they just don't do it when everybody else is, and so there isn't a common sense of that unity and that peace. If we understand all these pieces, ultimately, this is one of many thoughts as to what it means to worship and what it means for us to be a part of a worshiping community and why the church and worship is needed in life. So many people would argue, oh, you don't have to go to worship either to be a Christian. Well, yeah, actually you do, and biblically it says so. Not as a demand or a command of absolute rigidity, but worship and the community worship is a key part of a life of a Christian for a variety of reasons. And over time, hopefully, I'm going to figure out how to do these so that I can kind of help us ask the question, what is worship? Because that's what our worship committee is asking right now as we seek to be soon coming to talk to all of you about what it means to worship and how can we build a worship that is different but yet the same. That it is worship, but that what might look very different than where we're at right now, so that we can accomplish other things as we find ourselves in difficult times. But but ultimately, worshiping, gathering together, is such a key, integral part of what it means to be the church. Now, the church, of course, is literally defined as me. I'm the church, but not to myself. I am a part of the body of Christ. The body of Christ is the church. We don't go to church. Again, I've tried to help us change our language of that. We don't go to church. We are the church wherever we are, and as we gather and as we live our life daily in our vocations, as Martin Luther would say, we are the church. But we gather together for worship on a weekly basis, and then hopefully actually more than that, because worship solidifies us, it unifies us, it offers all kinds of possibilities for us. But we to be a part of the church, it means we have to be realizing and connecting to and working through the challenges and the difficulties of holding the body together. If you think about what cancer does, for one instance, cancer is a growth inside of a body that so slowly and eventually can suck the life out of something completely. It's a growth that has to be removed, and cancers in a congregation come in a variety of forms, but ultimately it's that kind of idea that as the body we can fight that together. We fight that together, and the strength of the body to live through life and to be challenged and to be better and to do things all comes as the body is together and gathered together and works together. And you see the main word here, of course, is together, because I remember back in the late 70s or early 80s, the military commercial was always an army of one, and somehow people started thinking that you could do it alone. But no, it was an army of one. The army of one it functioned as one body. All the different moving parts, it functioned as one body. And there's all these references in life to this connecting to a bigger thing and a greater thing together, and in power together, because it's all moving, and even with its challenges, it moves forward in the direction that it's headed to. And that's really what Christ prays for in the unity of the church, as he prays with the disciples before his death and resurrection. He's praying for them that they would have one heart, they would have one direction, they would, and in that one direction, that they would be drawn to a different way, and they would be drawn to his way. And in that, they would all be still moving in the one direction, though there would be different pieces and different parts to it. But ultimately, that there was a unity, and that unity would hold all things together greater than any form of division or any way to be apart. Well, we have a time in our world, in our history right now, where we're needing to be apart, or at least we're needing to be distanced from each other. And it literally, unfortunately, allotted that the governments and things required us to literally be apart. And okay, I work with that. I don't have a problem with wearing my mask and doing the things that I need to do to help protect other people, because that's what it's really about. It's protecting other people. But I've always asked and called people, I say, we worship at 9 a.m. And what that is meaning is, I'm talking in my head, I'm thinking, we still need to get up, because the habit can be broken easily. We need to get up, and we need to be prepared for worship. And I know it's, for some people, it's comfortable to, I get to watch church in my jammies, or stay in bed and watch it, or again, watch it whenever. But the act of preparing for worship is important, and then being there together in worship at 9 a.m., because we're a part of the whole, and you're a part of the whole, and you've come prepared in ways. In the Jewish tradition, the night before Sabbath actually begins the Sabbath. It begins their worship. On Saturday night, if we were to move it into a Christian model, on Saturday night we would light a candle at sundown and sing songs and prayers, and the night would be quieted. The night would involve preparation. The night would involve reflection and reading, and people resting and preparing so that they could get up and go to worship in the morning at the temple, or in this case at the church building. Preparation, getting up and being dressed and ready to go and prepared with books in hand and lessons marked and all those pieces ready to go. And it's interesting, as I thought about this habit forming and this needing to have the habit of faith, Again, people say, "Oh, you've gotten out of the habit of coming to church," or people have gotten quickly. And pastors are talking about this all over the country, and as the church is changing right now, hey, people have gotten out of the habit of coming to church, and how do we ever help them come back and do what they're supposed to be a part of and need to be a part of because of the biblical call to be the body? And I was thinking of that this morning. I thought of something in Hebrews chapter 10, and I realized as I read it again that there was a little difference to this. In the 10th chapter, about verse 19 and following, the writer of Hebrews is talking to the people about the assurances of faith. And then those assurances are that we have a confidence to enter into the holy places because of Jesus, and open the curtain to God's presence, and to draw near with a full heart of assurance, and to have a confession that we can hold fast to and trust, because God does not waver in his promises. And then in verse 24 it says these interesting things. And let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near. Well, I keep hearing people talking about the day drawing near in Revelation, and ooh, yeah, except for the fact that then we aren't following Hebrews. On one hand, if you were to put it in a legalistic sense, but then we're not following Hebrews, so do you really think the day of anything is drawing near? But even more so, pay attention to those words again. Let us, what are those words again? Unfortunately, I got 2 pages here. Let us consider how to stir up one another and to love and to good works, not neglecting to meet together, as is the habit of some. Not neglecting to meet together, as is the habit of some. So, what is the real habit of people? What is the habit of humanity and the people of the church? You see, the writer of Hebrews understands very clearly we were made in creation for worship. We were made as a creation to worship God. That's why he created humanity, was to have something to love and something that would worship him and to love him back, and that he could love back and respond with and relate with and grow with, because he desired that love in the grown expanse. You and I are made to worship. But the writer tells us to not neglect to meet together. Don't neglect to meet together. Make sure you are meeting together. Make sure you are gathering together. Why? Because the habit of some have become neglecting to worship. That's the habit. The habit isn't to go to worship. That's an inborn, created piece inside of you and I to come and to worship God and to understand that fully. And if we're understanding worship and we're doing it for what its purpose is, ultimately it changes how we do worship also. But the habit of some has become that they neglect worship. So together we're called to encourage one another. Even more because every day we technically do get closer to the end of all things. I don't believe that Revelations is being filled out, and I don't believe that that's the case. And if it is, all the better. Then it's one day closer to being closer to God. But then again, today is that day as well. Remember, I had a professor who said, a Christian should live as if today is absolutely the end of the world. And if not, without question, tomorrow. The truth is, the day does draw near one way or another every day for us. But the writer reminds us to encourage each other to not neglect worship. To build one another, encourage one another, spur one another on to love and to good works, because without that we get caught in the humdrum and the routine and the running down and the wearing down of what the world does to people, and all I have to do is pay attention as I watch people running everywhere, anywhere, but worship. And then you talk to them and you realize how exhausted they are in their lives. How it seems that there's just nothing in their life, something missing. And for the people who've always been a part of worship, they'll tell you when they don't worship, it really throws your day and your week and everything off. But again, even there's work to do to learn how to worship. Ultimately, you see, it's a call for us to remember, if we're a part of the church, we're made for worship. And we need to worship. And we will be encouraged and strengthened by worship if we're worshiping truly together and with the right focus. And it only takes 7 days to break the habit, the lifestyle of worship. I mean, 7 Sundays in a row. Well, we've had that during COVID. But it takes 21 Sundays then to reform that particular action in life. It's a whole lot easier, though, to break the habit and to get into the habit of not worshiping, according to the writer. Because we start to literally, and the word is neglect, worship. We just take it for granted. We cast it to the side. We don't consider it important. It becomes neglected, not used, not put into action as it should. And when you neglect things, often things fall apart. You neglect your body, it gets out of hand, and it creates illnesses. You neglect your house and it falls down or it gets filled with bugs and whatever else. You neglect your yard, it gets overgrown and the neighbors complain. You neglect your family and they eventually leave. When we neglect something, it comes because we've put our attention and focus somewhere else. And the first commandment always reminds us, keep your attention on God. Followed by the third commandment, which reminds us to remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. And as Martin Luther's explanation even said, not despising preaching and the word, but coming to gladly hear and learn it, because in it, God can speak, and God can call, and God can show his love, and we can be changed. I look forward to seeing you, hopefully seeing you soon, and being seen by you for those who can't come to worship. And again, I want to remind you, if you're somebody who is, this is not here to call people who are high-risk people to worship. If you come, again, come understanding all the cares and needs that are there, but there are other people in our congregational body who are neglecting to meet together. And to you are the ones I'm speaking. Because we need you. The body needs you. The future of the work of Christ in this place needs you. So that we can draw other people who don't even know that they're neglecting worship to Christ. God bless you. I hope you have a great and wonderful day. It's still a beautiful morning out here.